I'm starting to think Mew might actually just be bad in ORAS Pokemon Draft League. A lot of people say people are not very creative, they only run Stallbreaker Mew, and after looking at some of the data and playing with it myself, I actually think that might be one of its only good sets. Today's video is going to be all about my mini ORAS Cup run and talk about why I actually don't think Mew might be that good at all in this format. If you're excited for today's video, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Every subscription helps a ton along that goal. So this is my first game against P2GY, or I don't know. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Really interesting matchup here, actually. We have a Mew mirror and a Mega Altaria mirror, which is pretty cool. Mega Altaria was one of the Pokemon I was super excited to get to use again in ORAS Cup this time around when I got to pick it up. Obviously, I put out my team in the community post I did a couple weeks ago leading up to the tournament. I was super excited about that Pokemon. I got Greninja again, as I always do. And looking at this matchup, I came in and I'm like, man, this is kind of a rough matchup. There's a few things that I don't like here. One, Crocodile is here. And with Pursuit Trappers being kind of prevalent in this metagame, man, it puts a lot of pressure on Mew to beat Colberberry. And that's kind of what I had to be in this week. We'll show the team in a second. Crocodile is really tough for me and my team to deal with. Heatran, man, my team also just doesn't switch into Heatran. Luckily, it's kind of difficult for my opponent to also switch their Heatran into my team. Outside of their Superior, but if I'm able to discern the item early and get a Leaf Storm Hidden Power Ground after a Spike or something, like there are angles where that Pokemon has difficulty coming in on basically my entire team. And then there's the Mew. Mew is a little bit annoying for my team, but not particularly. Greninja, like Superior, Mega Alt, like there's a lot of ways to pressure that Pokemon offensively in this matchup. And overall, I feel kind of good about that. And one thing I really like about this matchup particularly, we did a speed tier video, check that out if you haven't, is my speed tiers are awesome in this game. Swellow, only Pokemon that's faster than anything on my build, and I got really good counterplay to that in Registeel. So my Greninja and my Superior get to really, get a little bit of extra bulk. Really only have to worry about that Keldeo. Could run a little bit of extra speed to protect, but that's not something we're going with here. The team's pretty simple. I have Taunt Skull, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, Life Orb, Greninja. Really good offensively. It is walled by Keldeo, but we're hoping to get the burn. Superior, just Taunt, Leaf Storm, Leech Seed, Hidden Power Ground. Very standard. Hopefully to get Hidden Power Ground off on that Heatran after some Leech Seed damage, a Spike. We actually don't have Spikes though on this team, so it's going to have to be a Stealth Rock this time around. We have just a DD, Return Earthquake, Mega Altaria. Pretty standard stuff. Stealth Rock, Thunder Wave, Flash Cannon, Thunderbolt. Special, Registeel. Special is pretty important here to help counteract Cotton Guard, Mega Altaria here. And then Thunderbolt was a pretty decent click into something like the Keldeo, so that helps out with that. And then Choice Scarf Nidoqueen actually kind of does a lot here in this matchup. If you look at my opponent's team, they don't really have a good way to switch into that Pokemon, especially their Mew struggles to switch into Crunch. And then our Mew, and this is kind of what I was talking about, not exactly Stallbreaker all the time, but you have to run Colberberry almost every week, every battle. I got Roost, Psyshock, Ice Beam, Earth Power, just 3 attacks, Roost, Colberberry. Use the Colberberry to get through that Crocodile early, Ice Beam it down, get rid of that Pokemon, and then maybe use it as a way to help answer the Keldeo or the Heatran in the late game. So let's get into the first battle here, as my opponent leads Altaria, I lead Greninja. Really unfortunate lead, because you kind of have to go Registeel every time, even though the Dragon Dance is so televised, because you can just Ice Beam, but what do you do after that? You Ice Beam, deal a lot of damage, it's gonna probably live, and then you have to sack it or just go hard into this Pokemon anyway on the return. I take 58 off the Earthquake, which is super massive. And this is why having Flash Cannon was really nice. Did over half here. Gonna have to basically sack up this Registeel now. And this, I mean, this is a danger early. +1 Mega Altaria looked like it was gonna just run through my team. Mew is gonna have to take 1,000,000 damage here. Luckily, I got some special attack. We're killing with Ice Beam. And Mew, as soon as I'm hating on it, it does something valuable here. And it provides kind of an emergency check to Mega Altaria. So we trade Altaria for Registeel, which, fair trade, I would say. That was probably how we drew it up going into this battle. But the problem with Mew is in comes freaking Crocodile, and this is the problem I have with Mew, is you gotta run Colberberry every freaking week with this Pokemon for it to be of any use. I go for the Roost. here just to get back up to full. I know that either the knockoff or the pursuit is coming, so I use it as an opportunity to get to full, and I just go hard at Greninja here, kind of predicting a dark move. Like, I didn't have a great switch into this, honestly. Like, if this just, like, nasty, like, if this just set up in my face, it would have been a little bit of a problem, and that's why I went hard Greninja here to kind of protect against that. But now we see this is just like a stall breaker defensive Mew. So, like, at the end of the day, that's all this Pokemon is going to be here to accomplish. And my opponent brings in Keldeo, Scream, and Choice Scarf. Even if it's not, I mean, it's likely not Choice Scarf if you think about it. Extra Sensory is never doing 100% here. So it is pretty free, even though it's likely to be Choice Scarf, given how my opponent ends up playing it throughout this battle. We avoid a burn here, which is super nice. I go for the Psyshock, just seeing if they'll give me chips, see if they're like Substitute or something. Might as well just scout for Substitute. No reason not to here in this battle. And I'm just going to Roost off. I kind of know that this set is doing like nothing now because it's just a U-turn Mew. So I can kind of stay in and set up a situation with Crocodile that I like is kind of positive for me. So if this is not Crook, then I can just Ice Beam, Roost off this HP and be perfectly fine. But my opponent does bring the Crunch. And given my EV spread, I'm 248 HP, 144 plus defense. I'm not the full max. So this is actually doing always more than half, which is super frustrating. I'm going to have to take this as an opportunity to go for the Ice Beam. I'm going to pray that my opponent does not go for the Pursuit. They just go for the Crunch here. I really did think they were going to go for that Pursuit there. I was almost kind of relegating the idea of just sacking this Pokemon, which would have been kind of unfortunate because it has some validity against like the Heatran, Vileplume, and Keldeo, but alas, we are able to get the Altaria in for free, and my opponent just goes for the Crunch. And kind of reveals to be Choice Scarf here at this point. Like, looking at this set, it's like they're just staying into Crunch as I Roost up. So trying to keep me a little bit low. And I'm just going to double back into Mew. I expect there's no reason for them to stay in. I can just take this as an opportunity to get the Roost up. And knowing my Calcs, knowing this U-turn, I'm going to live this every time. Crocodile's coming back in. And at this point, I'm thinking, it's like, man, how do I get the most value out of my Mew this game? I think it's going to be to take down this Crocodile. Taking down this Crocodile just opens up so much more for my team. I don't have to worry about Scarf Earthquake. This is probably still Scarf Keldeo in the back, maybe. It could just be, it's hard to say. I should know the calc on the Mew from earlier, but getting rid of this would be so huge. I'm like, I'll just stay in an Ice Beam. Not happening. I'm going to get crit here. And that crit's really unfortunate because this is just Scarf Moxie Crook, and I'm going to be able to go into my Mega Altaria, but this Pokemon being down, having full health Mew, man, this would have saved this game so much. I would have been able to leverage it for either the Heatran or the Vileplume. Heatran is such a powerful Pokemon into my team as well. I'm going to bring in my Mega Altaria, just go for the return, try to get some damage on this. I do set up a 2 KO, which is actually super nice, but I use this opportunity to get aggressive into my Nidoqueen. I do expect it probably to have speed for my Pokemon, as now my opponent goes into the their Crocodile. And this is what I mean about this, is I can go into Nidoqueen and it creates a really tough turn for my opponent. Now they just have access to Crocodile here to freely Choice Scarf Earthquake me. Luckily I have a pretty good answer into my Superior, but I can't do anything about this Vileplume in front of me now either, which is just another kind of unintended effect of the way that this team ended up working out. Not getting that Crocodile means that I really struggle to actually do anything against my opponent's team with what's it called? Again, with my opponent's team with that Vileplume there. It actually just like does so much here to lower that, which means that I don't know how I break this Pokemon is kind of where I'm getting at here. My opponent has too many strong resist profiles. Mew would have been just such a good Pokemon here. And that kind of goes a little bit against what I was saying. I was like, well, Mew's not really good except for these Stallbreaker rolls. But, I mean, think about what Mew is trying to do in this battle here. All it's really doing is using Colbur Berry to neutralize a specific turn of Crocodile. And then a bunch of coverage moves to just try to break my opponent's defensive core. Not Stallbreaker in how you typically think about it, usually with Taunt Willow, but kind of still operating that role. It's like its whole goal is to kind of damage and kill the trade for the Crook, beat up on Vileplume, and then maybe trade for some damage on Heatran or take the Heatran away from my opponent if I get the chance. And that crit really just puts this game kind of out of reach. I'm just out of tools here. Mew would have been so important in this game. My opponent's Mew, though, just not doing anything. That's another Pokemon I was kind of struggling to break down. In this battle, I have to go hard Superior on Keldeo here. Another reason that this is so tough to still have that Pokemon around is I have to start taking more damage with Superior on Crook when I could also use it for the Keldeo. Now, I do get a good double here. Get an Ice Beam on this Vileplume. With the Giga Drain and the HP, though, like, this is not going to matter. Like, this chip is just super relevant. And I think one of the other big things that this game really just got hurt by was not having access to extra entry hazards. I get a crit back here, though, which is kind of nice. I don't think it evens out, really, in the end. But I do crit to kill the Mew, which, in theory, does kind of help simplify this game a little bit. But, unfortunately, I just don't have the resources to deal with that. And this is a pretty good turn for my opponent. Just goes for the hidden power. Catches my Altaria. I'm going to get back up to full, though, but I'm not able to punish this Vileplume to come in. And this Vileplume is just going to come in, gain so much HP. And at this point, the writing's on the wall. My opponent's resists are just too good into me. I go for a nice Earthquake here, which actually puts a lot of damage on this Keldeo. But, you know, at this point, the writing's kind of on the wall. My opponent, I avoided the burn. I'm able to Earthquake, but, I mean, I don't want to skip through it, but as I said, the writing is on the wall here. I just don't have the tools left to win this game. And Mew, as a stall breaker, and like actually just as like a 3 attacks user, would have been pretty good in this battle to beat up on what my opponent was trying to do. But alas, they're just going to be able to outlast me with this Vileplume. We'll skip through. They're just going to attack. I go for the last ditch effort with the DD. They got the poison. It doesn't matter because I don't get the crit or kill. And that is the first game. I mean, a decent showing for Mew. My opponent's Mew was basically just nothing. It was a U-turn soft-boiled bot for 18 points. And my Mew, you know, it got crit, but it was really forced into a really just passive 3 attack. Not a passive, just a weird 3 attacks roll because of the fact that this Pokemon, Crocodile, exists. And there's so many more of these in the metagame. And we'll get to that in the third battle here. So I said third battle because my second battle, I got a forfeit win. My opponent just didn't show up. So let's get into this last battle. Before we get into it, we see here, and this is what I mean. This is the pinnacle of ORAS here, Mega Gardevoir. And if I want you to take anything away from this video, is looking at this, I'm going to put up on screen the last DPL that happened and all of the ORAS teams that were used in that tournament. Let's take a look at what the 2 Mew teams did. 3-3 and 2-3, which is not bad by any stretch. I mean, the 3-3 team had Mew Greninja, a combination I tried to go for, as well as Mega Altaria, last round pick Mega there. I didn't get the Zapdos, which I really wanted, and there's some other things in there that kind of worked out. And then the other ORAS team had Mega Sceptile Trevenant. I don't know what that team was cooking, but if you look at ORAS in general, the Pokemon that defied ORAS in this generation at this point just aren't Mew. So if you look here, number 1 draft was the Lando I team. Recently unbanned in an ORAS, kind of a recent development this Pokemon is allowed. Just super dominant Pokemon. Mega Gardevoir, 2 teams there, the 2 Mega Gardevoir teams in the top 4. The Pokemon we're playing against in this battle. Greninja, Lando, Lando and Gardevoir, just 2 of the best Pokemon here right now in this metagame. Keldeo, the next Pokemon up. We played against the Keldeo last round. We see Lando T, Torrent T coming up, some Garchomp teams in and about. Garchomp, really poor DPL, honestly, and kind of pushing my agenda that Pokemon's pretty bad. But overall, like, Mew was just one of the least relevant top-tier draft picks in DPL this season, unfortunately. And if we look at Mew all-time in DPL, it's got a 41% win rate. I mean, this is just a Pokemon that, for something that's drafted 100% of the time and used 100% of the time, just doesn't win a lot. And compared to all the other first-round picks, honestly, if you get it, it's kind of because you're left with it. Now, Garchomp is in a similar tier, but that's not what this video is about. We'll get to that one soon enough. Let's talk about this battle, though. We're playing against Mega Gardevoir, the de facto best first-round pick, the de facto best Pokemon in ORAS. Lando T, Lando I might like to have a war with that. At this point, Lando T up there, and Lando I kind of showing it should be up there as well. But Gardevoir, I mean, this is what everyone thinks is the best Pokemon. They've got some interesting things. They left Flygon and Togetic behind. Togetic, yeah, not a good Pokemon. And Flygon, I mean, I think it's a bad Pokemon. Other people disagree. Here, I mean, there was just no use case for it here. Greninja, I've had HP Ice on Superior. Mega Altaria, just no use case for Flygon in this battle. But luckily for me, I got Registeel, which is like probably one of the best Mega Gardevoir answers in the tier. Luckily enough for me, let's take a look actually at the team that I brought in this battle. We've tried to bring something different from you. But if you look at my friggin' opponent's team, I'm running Colbur Mew again. And why? Because there's a Drapion. There's all of these dark types that are so powerful and so good in this metagame that I gotta run Colbur Berry again. And I'm running CM Roost 2 attacks. Kind of because I think this set actually does smoke my opponent's team. Like, when you get rid of, like, you chip the Regiseal and, like, kind of get rid of this Mega Gardevoir, like, that set actually, like, kind of goes crazy here. Like, you only really need to chip these 2 Pokemon, and CM Roost Mew goes kind of crazy, but you gotta run the Colbur Berry because this Drapion is here. And that's just an unfortunate kind of reality with a lot of Psychic types, especially ones that aren't, like, dropping Dracos like the Lotties in this metagame. I'm bringing Spikes, Life Orb, Greninja. This is my lead. I was really debating early on in this, build, is if my opponent leads Mega Gardevoir, do I just Gunshot and take it turn 1? My set guarantees kills it every time. And that's such a hard turn, especially where I got Regiseal here, which is kind of a standard Regiseal set, but I can get my Rocks up early. And Rocks are going to be pretty nice here, as I said. This Mew endgame is going to be pretty good for me if I can get my Rocks up early. We have Sub Leech Seed here with the Serp. We've got Knockoff this time. Knockoff is really nice into stuff like the Regiseal and the Drapion. And then Knockoff, obviously really nice against my opponent's Superior if they want to go Superior on Superior. If they have HB Fire, basically. Though I don't expect that to be the case. I have Special Mega Altaria. This set's really, really cool. I've set that I really wish I had more opportunity to use when I was playing ORAS a lot. Draco Heatwave, like, actually is really, really good coverage into my opponent's team. The only thing it really doesn't hit is Mega Gardevoir, which is, like, kind of whatever, because that Pokemon we have to switch out anyway. And we have such a good answer on Registeel and a check in Choice Scarf Nidoqueen. Once again, makes its way on this team. And let's get into the battle. The situation I was prepping for and thought about all, like, the couple days I was building this team. It's like, man, should I just take this? Like, how good would this turn be? Like, my set kills max HP Gardevoir. He's probably just max HP, max special attack. He's probably has to have speed. Like, should I just take that? I'm like, no. Like, I can't risk. I don't want to risk it. Like, the risk was kind of like, what? Like, if I miss, it's obviously bad. But, like, you can't play around the miss if you're gonna run Gunshot. That'd be silly. But, like, is it really bad if I just use this as an instance and a sequence to get up Stealth Rocks on turn 2? Like, is it really that bad? And I think at the end of the day, you get out with, like, only 7% dealt. Rotom Wash comes in, you get Superior, and really unfortunate to get T-Wave there, though. Good to bring my opponent's part to have T-Wave into this team. I mean, T-Wave is broken in ORAS for a reason. And that's going to make this Superior a lot less threatening in this battle. So my opponent's going to get their own Regiseal in. I could pair it. I'm pretty sure I was knocking this turn, which would have knocked the leftovers. Really helped with the plan to help chip my opponent's team, as my opponent then used that to get their own Stealth Rocks up. Right here, I go for an aggressive Sludge Wave. I get a pretty nasty crit. That's a good crit here for me, because that's going to allow me to kill with the next one here. And, I mean, at this point, like, my opponent obviously can't stay with Regiseal. It's basically a non-option of a play. So their only real play is to go Rotom Wash if they're going to switch out. They can't go Drapion. They can't go Gardevoir because they could just, have a lot of speed. If you look at the speed tiers, actually, I mean, they could have gone Gardevoir, but do you risk the chip on that Pokemon early, especially where it can make aggressive play? Not really. The only thing that made sense was Rotom Wash, and a nice Sludge Wave there was pretty powerful, and I'm able to just pick it off here as a result of the crit. So I got crit in the first game. I get my crit this time to get back. I mean, we'll take. You know what? Unfortunate for my opponent. Pretty fortunate for me. My opponent knows that they outspeed. Well, they think they outspeed. I am Choice Scarf, though, but I don't actually kill that from here, unfortunately. I needed maybe another round of Rocks so I would be able to kill. I think it was not guaranteed. I think I had maybe 50-50 kill this. But I have my guy Regiseal. Regiseal is so free into this Pokemon. There's no reason to risk it, especially where I can get a Toxic off. And this Pokemon becomes so much easier to a revenge kill in the future. My opponent takes this as an opportunity to go hard and Fernape. I got a little bit of chip on that Pokemon as well, and things are starting to look pretty good for me. At this point, I sack off the Superior, which is kind of interesting. And the reason I sack off Superior is I'm thinking, well, this is paralyzed. Rotom Wash is down. What is this Pokemon actually accomplishing? But besides letting Regiseal in for free. So I'm like, let's sack this. He's probably Flare Blitz. My opponent just sets up again, which is insane, to be honest. I removed the Lumberry, which is fine. If I would have, like, done something else, it would have, like, I don't have, like, Glare or anything. I could have leached which would have been okay, but I have Choice Scarf. I've got Choice Scarf Nidoqueen in the back to kind of pick that one up. And I go for the Sludge Wave mainly because I think my opponent's just going to stay in, and if they switch out, they probably just go Superior to get aggressive, would be my guess. Here, I think at this point, I have to go into my Registeel, because Registeel is the only thing I have that actually takes a hit here. I mean, I have Altaria's not even Mega'd yet at this point, so really just nothing I can do about this and just get rid of my Registeel. Registeel's done a lot, though. It's got the chip we needed on Gardevoir and got Stealth Rocks up. And this is, man, I'm kicking myself here. This is a turn. I've been playing aggressively all game, so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, like, is my opponent just going to call me on one of these and stay in? Like, do they just go Registeel and, like, sack Registeel here? For some reason, like, I just... man, if I would have Sludge Wave here, what a game this could have been, you know, just to get rid of that Pokemon. And then at that point, Scarf, and Nidoqueen with Earth Power just like kind of dominates this game. But not taking that opportunity here is actually going to cost me, because my opponent is Sub-Seed on their Superior, and it's able to kind of just stall out my Mega Altaria. We're just going to go through this quickly. I try to Roost off, and then you have the Glare as well. So they're Sub-Seed, Glare, Leaf Storm, reveal their full set, and at this point, like, I'm not really able to get out of this Pokemon with the sub still up, because I get parried on this last turn. Oh, the last turn parry is so frustrating. And Mew, man, I really thought this Mew set was actually going to be able to do a lot this battle. I bring it in here and just lose it, and this was just like, this is one of those things you got to be mindful of, like when you're playing Pokemon. It's just not like throw things to the calculator for no reason. I should have known that this Pokemon was not going to live. And I could have gone here, Ice Beamed, gone into Nidoqueen, and just gotten off a Sludge Wave. But I go for the Earth Power. I could have had like a Mew to try to endgame the last guys, because I did have the Cobra Berry. But I try to get aggressive with Earth Power, seeing I get another kill. But alas, that is the end of my ORAS Cup run, and a tough loss here. And overall, Mew, man, it's a Pokemon that struggles in ORAS, and it had some decent value in the first game if it didn't get crit. We didn't really get to see it here, but my other matchup that I had, my opponent also had Weavile, which is just another situation where you have to run another Colbert Berry Mew. That one was actually true Stall Breaker in the sense of Willow Roost and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I think Mew is kind of a fraud. This was a little bit of a bozo run. I hope you guys enjoyed the video nonetheless. I want to make sure that I upload as many of the games that I play as I can. I don't want to only upload wins for you guys. You know, there's a lot of things we can learn from Draft League, from our losses and our wins. And I think we'd be doing ourselves a disservice if all you got to see was me winning games, because I do a lot of losing and there's a lot of things to learn. So if you enjoyed, like and subscribe. We'll see you all next time. And as always, have a wonderful day.